Okay, so I'm reading the Bible for the first time and I have to talk about it because it is a wild ride. This is my recap of Leviticus. I have Genesis and Exodus already up. And full transparency, I posted this video yesterday, but it got taken down for violating community guidelines, so I have to be more mindful with my language. Essentially, we start with God telling Moses how to tell Aaron to do all of the sacrifices. Aaron then goes and does all of said sacrifices in front of the Israelites, the Hebrews, interchangeable, and everybody's loving it. Everybody gets blessed, and everybody's freaking out, and God is like, I think that this is my moment to show up and show out, and I'm going to reveal myself in a fire. A blaze of glory, if you will. And everybody's loving it. And in that excitement, Aaron's sons decide to place a piece of incense into the fire. Like, I think they just got a little carried away. But God was like, hold up. Do not step to me. Like, we did not talk about this. I didn't ask you to do this. It's uncool. And he smites them and he burns them to there in front of everybody. And so God is like, okay, I guess I have to address this now. So he speaks to everybody and he basically says, like, do not come for me unless I called for you. Like, don't step to me. You don't want the smoke, literally. And at the end of this, like, speech that he's giving, he says, I must be glorified. I love that. I wish I could work it in without sounding like a brat, but it's an iconic line. I must be glorified. So then Moses goes to his cousins and to Aaron's sons and is like, you guys need to keep it cool. You need to keep it cute, or else what happened to them is going to happen to you. So keep your hair clean. Don't let your hair get messy, and lay off the wine. I don't see how they're all related, but I think it's very funny nonetheless. Like, stay well groomed and don't drink, please. Someone in one of the previous videos said that Leviticus kind of reads like the original public health PSA, which, very true. Most of this is like about what to do if you have boils or sores or if you're a leper. But the main part that I found interesting was impurity after childbirth. So essentially, as a woman, every time you're on your period, you're impure, you're unclean, and you need to atone for your sins afterwards. After you have a baby, if you have a son, you have to go like be exiled essentially and atone for your sins for 33 days. And if it's a girl, it's for 66 days. And from what I could find, it's like you're making up for all the time that you didn't have your period while you were pregnant. So it's like, okay, have your period, you have to atone. Don't have your period, you still have to atone. Sort of can't win. And why is the time for the girl longer than the time for the boy? Whatever. Then God outlaws this, and he has to be very detailed about it. Like, it's so funny. He has to go relationship by relationship like they're idiots, like they're stupid. Like, he's like, okay, so if you want to sleep with your dad's sister, that's your aunt. Yeah, that's your aunt. You can't do that. Your brother's wife, your sister-in-law, off limits. It's not cool. And then he says some other things like no animals. You can't do it while you're on your period. And men cannot do it with men. But there's nothing about girl on girl. So 1 point for the lesbians in the Bible. Then he goes over some more rules that are like, be kind to poor people, give them your leftover food, don't charge them interest, be kind to disabled people, don't lie, respect your elders, don't steal. He also says 2 types of crops can't be planted in the same field, and you can't wear clothing with 2 types of fabric on them. And then he says this banger, which I had to like write down in full with citation, which is Leviticus 19:33 through 34. So he says, when a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. Okay. Just hold on to that, screenshot it, write it down. You might need it around a family dinner at some point. Who's to say? But I want you to have it as a resource in case you need it. Okay. Then he goes over what happens if you break the rules. We all know this one. I'm not going to say it again. Or exile. And then he says his famous line, eye for eye or tooth for tooth. I love that God was like, don't worry. Like, you can always get your lick back and it's cool with me. Do you, player? He clarifies that none of the Israelites can be slaves, but everybody else can. So if you're one of God's chosen people, don't worry. But if you aren't, you might have to do some indentured servitude. Then he reviews, if you follow him, what the reward is, and if you don't follow him, what the punishment is. The reward is that nobody will be able to mess with you and you'll always be safe and that you'll always have food to eat. The punishment is like, he will rock you. Disease, famine, paranoia. Everybody that hates you is winning. Like, he for real goes, you will always be running because you will always feel like someone's chasing you. And when you turn around, nobody's there. Diva. Like, mama. I can't believe it. 8 with that one. But then he starts going over how much people cost. Like, I guess if you want to sell somebody to God. I didn't really get this part, but no surprise. Men always cost more than women. And they always cost like twice as much. So that's special. So that's fun. Okay. Next is Numbers. Pray for me. Everybody says it's really boring, so I'm going to do my best. Okay, bye.